Bichon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing here.
Can Lola Dam chase that one down?
That is a score for Hartlige Elferkel. Fantastic run by Julia Love.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
And we believe that that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
Let's subscribe Ulti TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo!
If you want to grow Ultimate Sport, become a member of Ulti TV.
Regardez Ulti TV.
Deviens un membre d'Ulti TV et fais grandir ta communauté.
Top Ulti TV. Följ med Ultimate Vendromene. Si quieres ayudar a Ulti TV, puedes ser miembro de Ulti TV.
Everyone, follow Ulti.tv on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love Frisbee. Just do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på Ulti TV.
Became member
of Ulti TV.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec Ulti TV.
Like and subscribe. Ulti TV, the best in the world.
We want to grow Ultimate.
we want to grow Ultimate. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We have our signature style 2-camera setup,
With thousands of hours of experience,
and our crew is globally dispersed to facilitate coverage everywhere around the world. We can also scale back our broadcast with just one elevated camera, or scale up with 2 fields, 2 cameras, and 2 commentators on each.
we work with local teams and we all have the same mission, to grow the sport and bring it to new people by providing live coverage and new stories.
Become a member today on our Patreon page.
And fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories, ideas and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
For the first time ever, from the golden sandy blankets of Portimao, Portugal, ULA and Ulti TV bring you the World Beach Ultimate Club Championship 2024. The best club teams in the world will converge on the Portuguese Algarve. With expectations for upwards of 150 teams, this promises to be a tournament worth bucket listing. Whether on the sands or watching the action from your screen, WBUCC 2024 is a tournament not to be missed.
He's in a great spot. He's in a perfect spot. Yes, his massive head has blocked everything. That was a huge play, but we have seen none of it. Finny, he's done it.
Those who do not know their history can never relive it. The skies, the dives, the sideline smiles. Our past is held in photo albums, drinking stories. The present is a gift. And here at Ulti TV, we want to make sure we always appreciate it, capturing the immortal moments of Ultimate from around the world and making sure everyone can enjoy them for free, forever. Because the future belongs to to all of us.
My mom and I made a cookbook. Traditional recipes passed down through the generations.
They cater very well to modern kitchens.
Our recipes come from all over Italy, primarily from Le Marche and Sicily, where my parents come from. Two of the best culinary regions.
All the regions of Italy have their own signature food.
Buying this book will make you smarter and better looking.
Mannaggia Stefano, just promote the book.
Just search Mama's Italian Classics anywhere you can buy books online and get your hands on a copy. We live in a world where everything can be referenced online. Imagine if the greatest moments in our sport were never filmed. Eurodisc continues to do what it takes to make free-to-watch live streams a reality. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. We'll consume the action live, and we'll support those that help to make it happen. If it wasn't streamed, it didn't happen. Eurodisc.
What a grab! Oh my God! Somehow they do it!
The World Beach Ultimate Club Championships 2024. Whether on the sands or watching the action from your screen, WGBUCC 2024 is a tournament not to be missed.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with Ulti TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, UltiTV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Alright, a little something special for the WGGGMBUCC. It's a lyrical sculpture in the sand that I carve. This is Flash on the mic, now on the carve. From 40 to 60, we are on the attack. If I can just get some vitamin I from my back foot on the line, yeah, I'm ready to go. Or did I just pull a muscle? Hold on for a moment. Play it cool, just act like I'm young. Got flicks on my wrist and lyrics on my tongue. 10 more years left to go. Tricks from the past and a buttery flow. A little slow off the start, I like to call my speed brisk. The sunshine glints off my slow-moving disc. You know how it goes with the sand between my toes. I got none of the pivots, but all the throws. Yeah, I got some dodgy knees. Disc in my hand and the sun in the sky. My dad bod goes jiggle and my hucks they fly. The spirits are rising like a disc on the breeze, going miles out of bounds to the Portuguese seas. I played a point, yeah, I need a sub and a good long soak in an XL tub. Don't need to run anymore, I'm one of 14 handlers. Happy Gilmore this disc like we're all Adam Sandlers. I'm slow off the start, I like to call it brisk. The sunshine glints on my slow-moving disc. You know how it goes with the sand between my toes. We got none of the pivots, but all the throws. Alright, let's finish this off. a 6'2" still works in the bar. I can see from miles. Got drinks on my radar. Portimao party is the place we flee for the friends we see and these great memories. Yeah, I feel the spirit as I pull every sinew. Shatter my knees, yet we're gonna continue. Take this hand, better yet carry me from the beach to the bar, better yet to the sea. I'm slow off the start. I like to call my speed brisk. The sunshine glints off my slow-moving disc. You know how it goes with the sand between our toes. We got none of the pivots, but all of the throws.
Sand between our toes in Sardinia this time around. 2023 World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships. And we are in the pointy end of the tournament, the business bracket. In front of us, of course, it's the 9 to 16 round Ninals quarterfinals. And we have Flash from Great Britain fighting against West Coast, the Swedes, plus a couple of extra personnel from out and about, including Sofia Pereira herself, Mrs. President, Madame President of Bula. But we won't talk about her too much. She doesn't like it when we do. Hannah Pendlebury alongside Stefan Rapazzo here for the afternoon game slot. It's a first for me commentating in a bikini, Steph. We've got a bit beach.
Well, you're one ahead of me. I haven't got there yet. I thought I'd done it all. But we're on the beach. Rock that bikini, Hanny. We've gotten to the exciting part of this tournament. We're in the brackets. These games should all start to level out just a little bit more. This one, West Coast, the Swedes, going up against Flash, the great Grandmaster Flash, as it's known, Grandmaster Flash, the Brits. Decided advantage based on results through the tournament goes to the Swedish outfit West Coast. But this is when these teams start to feel like they get a chance. The tables have started to level out. They've felt the frustration of losing all week long. They haven't got a win yet. They'll be churning. They'll be grinding. And the great equalizer is definitely out here with us, Hannah. There is a strong enough wind that can kind of just take away small advantages.
So if you've ever visited the island nation that is the UK, then, well, technically we have 3 nations amongst us. Obviously England, Ireland, the Republic of, so 4 in the United Kingdom. But on the mainland, Scotland, England and Wales. It's very breezy back home for Flash, so hopefully that will pay off some dividends for them, as you say, the great equaliser. It's been a difficult journey through the tournament for Flash so far, a complete defeat record. Every team has managed to get to 2 points cap on them. Their closest game, though, was against Rundown, which is a pretty talented team. They've had some strong opposition, played a lot of the teams in the championship bracket. Looking across the board to West Coast, a similar-ish story, with the one exception, of course, their victory 9-7 over Mountain Beaches of Switzerland. But some pretty good performances also held, not to owe to only 8 points.
Yeah, they've been a bit sharper getting that one win. They did get that live on Ulti TV, so you can go back and watch that game as well. And yeah, only one win. You can't say, oh, they're really up against a mountainous opponent here, an opponent who's struggled similarly throughout the course of the tournament. And as we say, as we get into these lower brackets and the higher brackets, every which way, they've just all been, and really, with the Flower Power pools, they are really well seated now going into these brackets. There is a good, accurate gauge of where these teams are and how they got here, and there's no flukishness anymore. These teams definitely change roster-wise season to season in this Great Grandmasters division. They don't necessarily have a tournament season. In the U.S., they have a national championship, but they do get, add-ons and drop-offs every season, more so than in your senior divisions and even down through Masters, other iterations of the Masters divisions. So now everything is all ironed out based on who is here right now, and we should have some cracking tight matches coming our way.
Absolutely, and based on last year's results, of course, Flash came the bottom of the seeding. So the only way is up, baby. 2023, if they can snag themselves not 16th, then that will be an improvement on last year. But of course, it's all about the Ninals, the beer bracket in front of us. We will be featuring a little bit of the Ninals action tomorrow. And we do have some potential, if, of course, West Coast can grab themselves a second win of the tournament here, a potential for Bula on Bula action in the semi-finals for the beer bracket.
What? Patrick versus Sophia? Will they share the same bed that night?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe they're going to have some off-pitch agreements as to kind of commiserations or celebrations later on. But of course, it's wonderful to have both of the Patrick van der Valk and Sofia Pereira playing this season. Normally, it's one of them playing, usually Patrick, and the other organising. But we are delighted to have that. Of course, the reason for Sophia playing is, of course, the fact that we have a proper loose mixed format still, but a proper format where you have to have at least one female matching player on the line every single point throughout this championship, and you have to have a minimum of 3 female matching players rostered.
And she went on there to help the team out to meet the requirements, and then lo and behold, they're up to 4. They've got the extra lady. And now they're swinging with iron fists. They've got everything they need. The only thing left is a tick in the dub department here to advance in to the semifinals for the Ninals.
Indeed, and West Coast were there last season. They ended up in 10th place, second only to Jets. I didn't realise we were just on shot. I should have given you a flash of the old bikini. But it is starting to get a bit chilly here in the breeze. This side of the bay much less sheltered than where we went for a dip earlier, Steph.
Yeah, that was, we had a beautiful dip. I'm sure you're seeing it in our shots from time to time. Not in this particular shot, but the castle, the decaying castle at the top of the hill, the mountainside, it's really just mountains and water and sand everywhere you look here. But yes, nestled over on that side, protected from a bit of that wind.
Yeah, if we could go and demolish the beach bars over there and put the pitches there instead, that would be a fine thing, I'm sure, for all of the players who've had to battle against the breeze today. It has changed back to more of an upwind-downwind situation. This morning it started a feisty crosswind at about gusts of 32 kilometres per hour, which is quite intense for a game of Beach Ultimate. But it keeps things interesting. And of course, all these athletes in front of us, they're pretty good at throwing in the breeze because it's Worlds, it's beach, it's everything you want and more. And the sun has just reappeared.
It's going to be a sunshiny day.
West Coast have lost, though, to point out. They have lost one of their athletes from the roster. They have had an injury. So they will be playing with a 2-line contingent, just the 10 players versus Flash, who have closer to 20. So, starting off on offense, the GB team yet to snag a win here in the stages of this championship. GBR with the pass backwards. Of course, previous Ultimate pundit himself jacks it into the deep space, but that one isn't going to reach all the way to Simon Church, who was hovering despite the extra bit of bluster from the wind.
Yeah, that one, he got it downfield, but not all the way there. It went out just a bit earlier than that, so probably take about 10, 15 meters, maybe more by the looks of things, before that one comes back into play. But there's the first turn of the game, and West Coast will have a chance for an upwind break.
And about 3/4 of the pitch to go. Of course, West Coast formulation of Swedes after their Rainbow Warriors compatriots left them. And decided to form their own one. That is a beautiful pass, though, up to Helen. And there goes the first break of the game. Jonas Helen with the high grab.
A beautiful high grab. That one came out of the hands of Tommy Blom. Opened up the backhand there. Helen takes it under duress. The defense coming, a little bit of torso-to-torso contact there. All is good in love and war. No major damage. Nothing dangerous, but good tight D with some incidental. And it makes the reception that much more impressive for Hedden.
Yeah, Church was in the vicinity and did everything he could. the 37-year-old from Milton Keynes. Started playing Ultimate way back when. He watched the 1986 Worlds happening in his own town. So he's actually the founder of Reading University Ultimate, formerly known as the Reading Knights. But of course, a lot of the universities in the UK have started bringing together all of their sports teams under one banner, one name. Bit of a homogeny, a bit like you get in some of the US colleges.
Reading Knights. I like the homogeny, but there's a Toronto club team called the Ready Knights that have been around forever. So anyways, you just got me thinking about that. Reading Knights, Ready Knights, Flash, and West Coast. It's all happening here.
Indeed, not nights, but daytime in front of us as Flash look for a reset. They find one in the form of Ian Scotland, who I believe got the one solitary point against the top seeds on their earlier live stream game, but a little bit of a stumble in the sand. The Sand Monster reaches up, and that's going to be a shot too far. Natavissa getting a bit too excited there, and Seth Martin with a bit of a let-off. So bringing it back in play. Initial movement from Scotland. It's a shame they don't have a player with the surname England and Wales. That would be quite a fun little cluster. Wong, backhand upwind. Oh, that slices past the hand of the defender, and then conservation of greatness throws it over the head of Seth Martin.
Yeah, conservation of greatness, but also demonstration of what this wind is doing. Should be easy, 7 to 10 meter backhand there, blown away. This wind can make a great thrower look pretty average.
Visser on the far sideline. This time it's a better weighted throw into Hedstrom. Big shot going to the deep space. Koml. Oh, and that is a lovely throw, perfectly weighted. Jonas Komre in the deep space.
Blum showing what he's worth. That's 2 assists, both of them deep throws, one a backhand, this one a forehand. But using that far sideline either time, smart work. That wind is mostly right to left, but a little bit into our camera as well. It's coming from the sea towards the beach. And there are spittles of rain coming down as well. Very few, nothing to get too excited about, but you feel it. There's your weather report. I'm going into meteorology after this.
Yeah, we don't quite have the graphics loaded up yet. We've got a rudimentary crew.
I mean, well, you get your bikini on. Isn't that the Eastern European style for the meteorology?
I don't think I'm up on that level of bikini wearing. I'll just say that. It's a, what did I say? A physique for radio? Is that a thing? Face for radio definitely is.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, we're not doing too badly here. Church puts up a beautiful backhand. That's perfectly weighted, but it's taken away. A good attack from Komhu.
Nice defense there. Taketh away. It was a well-weighted throw, but didn't quite account for the charging defender there.
Yeah, perhaps needed to put the other tilt on it, maybe try and curve it around the back of the defender. There was separation, but they ran out of room. Same third huck kind of affair. Now, some smooth moves upfield from West Coast, staring down the potential for another break of score in this game. Thus far, it's just been breaks. That one, I'm not sure that was intended to get to Colby Smith, but it worked out. So a bit of a foul elsewhere, collision on the field. Steve looks to have gotten a bit of a piece offensive foul. So there we go. That disc that escaped and slipped through to Colby Smith.
Church was a little slow to get up there. Hope he's okay, but he does look fine. One's back to his feet now. So happy to see that.
Yes, indeed. So Steve will have the disc back in exactly the same stool that she released it. If my understanding of the situation is correct. It's an accepted offensive foul. Nope. the two players having a little chat about it. Of course, it's that interesting thing, isn't it, when you've been playing for quite a long time, that you might have some old rule set knowledge confusing you with the new ones. Squeezing almost every bit out there, and perfect toe work from Colby Smith. Toe drag swag indeed. Tight marking from Church, nearly getting his hand up in the cookie jar. But that is a forcing throw out of bounds. Komhu on a resurgence, having taken a break from 86 all the way through to 2012 when he returned to Ultimate. But there's an immediate throwaway from Flash.
Given right back.
For some good yards earned. And Church will get back on the mark for this Flash zone. Relatively passive, just allowing those lateral movements. Saying, yeah, all right, then have a go. Throw it into the breeze. We dare you. But we know that West Coast are capable of doing so. Church and now, Steva, sorry, now trying to attack that deep space. They throw through the pocket. Nice grab. Oh, and that is a boost and a half. It's going to run out of room on the far sideline, surely.
Or is it?
Steva, she runs through and says, I'm not sorry. Well, you are allowed to drag the tape with you as we get another look at that little puncture through the jaws of the defense. We don't have a great view from our sideline angle, but we can definitely see.
You can look.
There's the catch. Oh, actually, to be fair, I think that foot may well have been in, and it's called in on the field. Or pitch, I should say. So the players on the pitch made the resolution.
You can, but we can't do the replay again, especially now that they're back. They've made a decision. If they were still talking, yes. But no.
So West Coast on the doorstep. Can Vash make the defensive play? No, it's Pereira with the goal, just standing in the open space as Flash decide to stick with the zone.
Pereira with the goal. That's a nice use of being in the right place at the right time. Waiting that space out, dragging defenders in and out in that, there's lully moments between conversation. Who's on, who's off. Here is the Stever throw that had some in-out contention about it. What do you think back at home?
Yeah, let us know in the live chat.
Tough angle with Steve GBR kind of in front of the feet there in the shot. And here is the final piece of work for the goal. Jonas Helen is the assister to the goal scorer, Sofia Pereira.
So yeah, we alluded to it in the middle of that point, but Jonas Komhu, he took a career break from Ultimate in 1998 and then has returned since 2012, so nearly 11 years back in the game.
That's a pretty big break too, though.
It is a pretty big break. Played for the juniors and then a great Grandmasters, but returned for Grandmasters. So he's 51 years old, currently residing in Gothenburg. On that bid, there's a call on the play elsewhere. To see Henry Ferland and Frederick Hedstrom return from the sand.
Handy chicken wing to return the disc to the point before the violation.
Well, possibly some of the athletes out here in Sardinia are old enough to have been the old chicken wing instead of forehand throwers back in the day before that was invented, I guess. EJ pops it back. Scotland Ferdland, sorry. Just anchoring at the back. Vision over the top. Finds Scotland. Oh, that's a lovely cut. EJ in the back space. Of course, to give her full name, Emma Jane Bailey, but known exclusively almost as EJ back home in the UK, will grab the first point for Flash. 3-1. they stem the flow of breaks being ripped up by West Coast.
Yeah, nice work by Emma Jane Bailey. EJ on the back of her jersey, definitely. Happy to go by that name by the looks of nomenclature choice, but that all broke open with that hammer in the middle of the field from
Furland, I think.
Yeah, Furland opened up the field, that hammer. Then it was just watch what we can do now that the mark has been broken, and things got very, very easy to finish things off to Bailey.
There are a couple of sneaky North Americans on this British club side. Furland is one of them, originally from Washington, D.C. Doesn't actually reside in the UK at all. He's been playing for 32 years. But he says here that 100-year-old sprinters are what inspire him, seeing them put the effort in still. And giving hope to the 60-year-olds, say you've still got 40 years left of competition in you, potentially. So, Helen just takes the easy reset that's given against this zone. Hellstrom now has Steva in the centre. West Coast playing plenty of 2 female matching athlete points. Because, of course, they're a small squad with 4 women on it. Steva pops through to Helen. Flash again, choosing to stick with the zone, and it does not pay off. An easy goal for Fredrik Hedström, just in front of the thrower. So both teams deciding that scoring in the upwind end zone is easier and cooler.
Yeah, why would you score downwind? Let's make it difficult on ourselves, but that will be the way this game will go until we see a break, of course. Once these patterns get set, these patterns stick around, and the only way to break the pattern is to score a break. Hannah, you mentioned a couple of the North Americans on the Flash side. I got a shout out to Natalie Wong, a Torontonian, of course, and she came by to say hi before the game, saying that Blue, Curtis Reed says to say hi, but Blue, a big administrator, organizer, was part of the organization crew for one of the most famous tournaments, the Gender Blender, but also the Ultimate Experience, that was a group governing over a couple of mixed clubs in Toronto.
Well, a really deep pull, exceptionally well fielded up until the point that Will Biddle just dropped it on the far sideline. Flash need to cut out these unforced errors if they're going to see themselves stay in this game. Hedström collecting another goal. In fact, that's not Hedström. Is it? No, it is. It is Staffan Hedström. For a minute there, I have to say, and to credit ourselves, the text, the font chosen by West Coast for their jerseys it's very beach, but it's not very legible.
No, very beach, but not very stream.
It's like they weren't expecting to get live streamed at least twice.
Well, they have. Thrice now.
Indeed, our third look at this Sweden Friends team. Tommy Blom having a great game so far. Our previous stream, he was a bit of an up and down one, throwing and throwing away. But when the man's on the money, he really is. You can catch him by his iconic beanie hat. But Flash looking to hold on here. They've got the wind behind them, so every opportunity is Shrek and GBR work together in the backspace. Shrek sets off. He's a big old lad. Some sort of call with the mark, perhaps a foul from Hedden.
Yep, must be, but there's some contact between Hedden and GBR. They're still working it out.
Love the shout from Sofia Pereira, which is, you guys use your hand signals.
Yes, we do love it. That's what they're there for. Communication,
so
inaudibly.
So GBR just forced to chuck it and see. Finds Shrek nice and easily. Oh, and that's... Oh, there was a window of opportunity, but conservatism is the choice for Flash. or has a think about the cheeky scuba over the top. But Son throws it eventually a little bit later, and you can see the obvious frustration from Ruven Schreck.
That's why I thought about it the first time, I think. These winds are not kind, even in the downwind position. Will wreak havoc. Second chance, though.
Yep, Helen had the disc taken away, and there, indeed, that window right in front of the mark is taken, and that will be a nice score for Katja Ulbrich. Both of Flash's goals have been caught by their female matching players. And to mention the previous score, actually, EJ Bailey, we talked about Kommerge having come back after a bit of a Frisbee hiatus. Very similar dates for EJ Bailey. She played from 1991 to 98 and then returned in 2019, just before the pandemic shutdown. Of course, was part of the iconic vintage side Bliss back in the day, won numerous nationals and a Paganello win back in 97. Big shout out to all of the old Bliss players. Of course, Bliss dissolved and Iceni then rose to the fore alongside Leeds. And Iceni this season finally regained the national championship after a bit of a wee hiatus from the standings.
They're back. Looking forward to see what they'll do at the UCF. Obviously, another big tournament coming up very soon on this seasonal calendar.
Absolutely. So Ian Scotland with a, oh, that is a fantastic upwind pull. Skills. Hedstrom moving it though easily to Natavissa in the other space. We've got Natalie on Natalie action. Or Natalie on Nax. I don't think that goes by Natalie. Well, that is a scoop around the back, cleaning up a bit of garbage. A great effort from Mike Bird trying to swoop in and make the block, but Fredrik Hedstrom knew exactly where that disc was going to be, and he collects the 6th goal for West Coast.
Yeah, you got to love the garbage collectors on goals like this when they're a massive humanity amounts, everybody jostling to take position, and somebody just says, I'm just going to streak behind this and see if they all miss. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. And they get a funky dance out of it, like we're getting right now out of Sofia Pereira, showing us her happiness. She's feeling it, feeling the flow here on the Sardinian sands.
Indeed. Well, Mike Bird there nearly getting that defensive play. We talked about the Leeds women's side, but of course they also had an open division contingent for which Bird used to play. And I do believe he's got 2 ultimate playing sons, Ben and Kieran. That's the, oh, a big miss for Simon Church there. That one hit him right in the bread box.
Yeah, that's a tough one to swallow, the incompletion on that one. But that's what's going to have to happen.
Stever with a lovely backhand break to heal him. High release backhand, easy enough. Hedstrom being a little bit pinned, but Smith sneaks through. Oh, that had a lot of juice on it, didn't it? And good idea to catch the D there from Holden. Pops back to Schreck, easily enough. Oh, that's a lovely delivery. This time, will he catch it? He will indeed. Simon Church this time makes up for his earlier error. That one right on target too, but kept by the Milton Keynes man.
Loved the ricochet there that was taken care of by... Who was that man who handled the ricochet defense? Just caught it.
Holden.
Holden, yes. Handled that interception. Really set that play up. If that one just goes to ground, wait to pick it up, reset the offense, you don't get the ability to throw a no hesitation hammer. Yeah, I just really liked the head on a swivel there, ready for everything, and then there's the finish again. Church collects the goal, redeems, and brings Flash within 3 away. from West Coast right now.
Although West Coast coming out on offense with the win behind them, you do have to favour them for taking the half of the next point. Also, Paul Holden has asked us to give a shout out to all of York Ultimate. Their enthusiasm and encouragement is what keeping him playing even in his sunset years of his athletic abilities, perhaps. Or maybe he'll have a resurgence and shock us all. Blom through to Hedstrom. Oh my goodness, well that is a just chuck it in hope. Massive pressure from Katja Ulbrich to try and deny that one, but she sneaks it through. Hedstrom connecting in the end zone with Komhura, and that is half for West Coast, 7-3.
Yeah, great pickup there by Visser. Under duress, a floaty disc, and she held her ground, used her receiving box, and hauled that one in. And the next two throws, well, made it count for even more. Goal on the board, halftime taken.
Yeah, I think West Coast have gelled together despite the differences between their kind of roster. There are closer knit, smaller squad, and they certainly are playing with a lot of flow and confidence in each other. They've gelled themselves together and just look a little bit extra kind of just well tuned at this stage. But Flash with some real opportunities here. Let's see though after this break for halftime if they can bring it back, with West Coast currently leading 7-3. So Flash organising themselves on the line. Are we going to get another of those scintillating hold and pulls? Not quite as deep as the last one we saw out of the number 50 for this UK side, but it's pretty good. They quickly work it down, just popping it over the shoulders of the marks. Flash need to go for higher hands rather than the feet block. Squeezing it through, a little bit of collateral on the far sideline. Pick call. Players hustling around and clustering together. Susie Stever with the disc. Been playing since 2003. Stever looking around for options, just sends it back, but it bounces off the knees of Colby Smith. And immediately off to the races, Katja Ulbrich, but that looked a little bit undercooked out with Furland and is snaffled up by Susie Stever instead. Oh, well, that is quite the put as well. Perfectly weighted into the path of Blom, just hangs it up on the breeze, does Smith, making up for his earlier error.
Yeah, that was a bang and throw, a high release forehand with a little bit of a pop into it as well. Well weighted, hits the target in the bread basket. No change in direction, no change in speed. That is exactly what you want on your deep shots.
And Blom there with a little bit of freestyling for the celebration. Of course, freestyle is something that you want to have a little bit of wind on. You can get a lot of snap and like hanging up in the breeze, but this is not over quite yet. That is just the first point of the second half, and we've been trading since 5-1. So that lead that West Coast got at the beginning of the game really hurting Flash here, but they're in this.
Yeah, they are finding ways to score. They've got to do it with a bit more consistency, yes. They've got to be able to generate a break somewhere. But they are fighting here. That is darn tootin' sure.
Well, much like the previous live stream, players who eventually went on to a defeat. Oh, that's such a nice inside throw from Shrek. That is, well, that's just a peach. Well, that's more like it for Flash. To say they have the abilities to hang tough here. They just forgot, I think, they came out a little bit flat, didn't they, Steph?
Yeah, they did indeed. Spent maybe just a bit too much time at the beach bar. Got a little too relaxed, too in the Sardinian zone, enjoying the island life. And now they got to wake up and get things going. And it took a couple points against them until they got there. But they may well be there by now. 8-4. And like you said, since 5-1, it's not been so bad.
It hasn't. And there have been opportunities where West Coast have turned over on offense. Just a couple, but it's possible. They aren't picture perfect. They've been very clean, though. West Coast had 2 of their 4 breaks be on the first opportunity. And it does come off of, I think, probably a little bit of extra polish on the throws here for these players. Colby Smith pops around to Hedstrom. We've seen that zone from Flash disappear. Oh, Blom just about holding on. Threatens the inside channel and then throws it through to Visser. Goes all the way around with the disc. Which to me indicates that there might be a little bit of marking infraction going on if you have to clear it that way. Smith now. Nice flat force from the mark. Oh, and that's just a flobbly wobbly disc that whiffs out of the hand in a weird way.
Yeah, you see him moving the fingers around, indicating some sort of loss of grip there. Whether it was slippery or sand in between, but yeah, that one got away. Flash to break.
Colby Smith starting his stall count a little bit ambitiously early. EJ Bailey is the target for the lovely throw against a feisty breeze from Ian Scotland. Fun facts, EJ Bailey not really a big fan of throwing flicks. Much prefers the backhand. But that one isn't going to make it to Ian Scotland after some intense match coverage from West Coast.
Yeah, tough high stall count throw there by Bailey. Ran out of options, didn't like the forehand, as I've just learned now, and limited the options between those two.
Lovely put all the way to a metre shy of the tape for Fredrik Hedstrom. Bailey puts on the mark. Blom looking to break around. But eventually the target is found. There wasn't quite enough rundown from Ian Scotland to play catch up. And that one goes into the dust.
Visser with the pickup on that goal makes it 9-4. And West Coast starting to put the foot down. They're starting to reestablish the dominance they had at the start of the game, but really, it's 2 holds in the second half. So they are not letting Flash back into this. We'll say that. Flash are doing their job holding, but just holding is not going to get you back into a game. It will, you know, level the field a little bit, rebalance your mental approach, your belief in yourself, but you got to find ways to get breaks to get back in.
Well, if you're going to lose games, it's all about losing and improving. And I think over the course of this match so far, Flash have improved quite considerably. I liked the defense there in the end zone. Good switching off. Unfortunately, not all the communication all the way through, hence Steve being quite so free. Oh, it might have been Visser, actually. My memory doesn't quite stretch back. It's been a long, old tournament, but that one just straight off the hands. Those are the unforced errors we saw earlier stages for Flash. Got to cut those out because West Coast are being way more ruthless with the disc. Steve challenges the inside break but pops back. That's going to go all the way around the bank. Steve did that. No, doesn't quite get the hand underneath it, just leaves it for the dust. And Shrek, I have a feeling, it's going to be easily tempted if someone sets off to the deep space. Has Ulbrich, has the wind behind her and comes underneath and reads it perfectly. Simon Church asking for the deep shot. 2 players able to split if they separate well enough. They do just about. And Rue Morris coming through and clutching the 5th goal for Flash. Their highest tally so far has been 5, Steph. But that's going to be a call potentially on the play elsewhere. Rue Morris, who's my favourite quote of the player surveys, a nudge short of 6 foot. I didn't know nudge was a measurement, but there we go.
The newest unit of measurement, nudges. And Rue Morris there, as you said, if they can separate the defense, was almost not running into that clear space. They had a 2-on-1, and he was running towards the defender for at least 2 steps once the reception was had by Ulbrich. But he did realize, okay, we've got a split here. I've got to make to the sideline. He made to the sideline, and that throw became easy. And I tell you, what a way to make a living out there. It's 9-5, Hanny.
It certainly is. Big shout out to Rue Morris's lovely daughter, Erin, currently captain at Southampton University of their ultimate team. Morris himself, one of the founding members of Mythigo, of Myth and Legend those days when he used to play University Ultimate back in 1990. And one of the members also of Bristol Plastic Factory, which goes back a little while. Bristol, of course, have gone through many various iterations of names, etc., but their open team now on the rise.
I saw Mythigo for the first time at Glastonbury this year. I don't get to see too much UK British Ultimate, but it was good to see some of these old clubs hitting it out at a fun, wonderful tournament.
Indeed, the new fresh meat coming through, as they call it at university, the freshers. But yeah, I paid a visit to that party to see yourself, Steph, and it comes from some of our other Ulti TV crew and other Brits that I know, but it made me feel very old. And I have to say, this tournament making me feel nice and young. It's a real compare and contrast kind of vibe. Colby Smith lets off a high release flick that is beautifully weighted. It's a stamp on the tape for Hedstrom, but he easily pops. Well, I say easily pops. Is an easy throw, but not the easiest catch for Tommy Blom, who just about corkscrews his way around and opens the bottle on another point. That's double digits now for West Coast, 10-5.
Get out the corkscrew, time for some Sardinian wines. That one, Tommy Blom making a meal out of it, really, but getting it down the throat in the end.
Yeah, West Coast starting to look a little bit scrappy now. Perhaps some fatigue setting in. As I say, they're going to look to try and do one better of their performance last season. 2022, they came 10th, and we are in the Ninals beer bracket here. Although, Great Grandmasters Championships, I think every berth is a potential beer bracket, because I saw the very tactical warm-up move for young legends who were facing up against their finalist opponents, Spangled, in the quarterfinals in the championship bracket, Steph, and their move was to drink beers immediately after their game.
Ignusa, it's really good. It's like magnesium for muscle recovery. So I think the Sardinian beer does something like that. It's science.
Well, a low percentage, a low ABV sort of beer can actually have some wonderful isotonic benefits. If you go through a 3 or 4% and limit yourself to just the one, it can actually improve your athletic recovery.
That's the tough part, limiting yourself.
Indeed. Everything in moderation.
So, again, since 5-1, it has been nothing but trading. So, Flash have come about here.
Oh, well, it's the traditional UK team thing. You just don't have a great start. Always like to play from behind. That's a great run, though, and through goes Simon Church, grabbing his 3rd goal of the game. He's had some moments of glory, balanced out with some moments of curiosity.
Funkin' Reuven Schreck with the beautiful backhand there out of the Volkswagen, and getting that one in to Church. And again, they continue to trade. This game has been back and forth since 5-1, but that 5-1 exists. And if Flash can get a break, then maybe that's the spark they need. They've proven they can go toe-to-toe. Get score assist on the screen.
But either way, they're going to have to punch in a ticket for the comeback train with that first break of score. It's all been about downwind holds lately. So we see Helen shooting into the paw of Hedstrom. Of course, one of 2 Hedstrom brothers, both hailing from that western coast, hence the name of Sweden. Steve indicating she'd like a break side throw, but they're just squeezing out that reset. Blom now just squeaking up line, jamming it in the jam hole, as they might say. Helen now attacking. Flash needs to be a little bit more on it, stopping these upline cuts and really squeezing around. That's great shutdown from Furlan, but it opens up the moment. Scotland gets completely left for dust, and Hedstrom gets the goal. Another to add to the tally. Of course, it is a short roster, so all of them are pretty much going to have high ones. But a player who's not going to is Niklas Persson, who unfortunately has taken an injury and is actually wearing trainers on the beach, which is an interesting move. Kind of rogue, Steph.
Rogue indeed. There's, yep, not much room for that, to be very honest, in my style and comfort books. Neither one really make me feel great about trainers, but if that's your prerogative, be like Bobby Brown and do it. But that's the only way to be like Bobby Brown. He's a horrible person otherwise.
So Hedstrom doing a lot of work for West Coast in this game, that number 23. Another player who took a career break his ultimate days. He's had 18 years of playing, with a break of 20 years in between at one point of time. He doesn't allude to when. Hails from the island of, and I'm going to mispronounce this, but he stood right in front of us. So Fredrik Hedstrom is from somewhere, let's say, spelled TJO with an umlaut RN. He's given us the phonetic spelling, which I think it's Tjörn. But anyway, it's the 6th largest island in Sweden, on that west coast in the province of Bohuslän, 1 hour north of Gothenburg. Started back in 1986 and of course played for that Skogsedan side back in the day, the iconic name that all of us remember, of course, over here in Europe.
Yep, they were something. Even as a Canadian, I'd heard of them. And I'm sure you got that pronunciation right, but who am I to tell you about Swedish pronunciation?
Well, Hedstrom's still coaching. He's looked after the under-17 boys team this season, and he hopes that all of his juniors will be watching him out on the fields here today. But that's going to be a grab, a layout score for Simon Church, backed up by Emma Jane Bailey just behind, and Tommy Blom unable to get himself up in the mixer and deny.
7-11, I'm going to go get myself a Slurpee. And of course, around here, that means it's a granita time. And since yesterday, I did manage to get my litmus test in and had the pistachio vanilla chocolate trio that I always do to test out a gelateria. They had a granita section, so we might be going back for granita tonight in honor of this 7-11 scoreline and my love for slushy stuff, Annie.
Well, if they have any left, I have to say the granita that have been serving at the beach bar is resoundingly not kind of slushy at all. It just seems to be kind of more of an ice block at this stage, comes sort of in a packet. But you want something that's going to be properly churned up for you. But West Coast 2 points away from their second victory of this tournament. Helen finds Hedstrom. All these high releases, all the high throws that West Coast are putting up, especially downwind. It's a shame not to see too much of an adjustment, but how can you adjust for that? The speed of Fredrik Hedstrom just absolutely rinsing to that open side and clutching an easy goal. That's 4 goals for him and 1 assist in this game. So involved in just shy of half of West Coast's goals.
Yeah, really pouring it on and contributing. Nata Visser again there. She was wide open, arms out. Yeah, hit me. And watch here as the disc goes through her. Catch, turn, and release. A great bit of no hesitation work there to ensure that Fredrik Hedstrom's wide open cut was most certainly honored. No chance to catch up on that one.
Well, Hedstrom has had quite the storied career, and to inspire, if you're watching this, much like he inspires his juniors, the under-17s, he's played for so many different teams, but his biggest thing is actually being right here, right now, recovering from patella tendonitis, also known as jumper's knee. He's put hours in the gym, rehabbing, getting himself back into the fine fettle of his performance on this pitch. Slide underneath for Simon Church.
Ooh, he's jammed an ankle, or maybe he got some sand in the sand sock. Either way, Flash need a score here, or it's game point against them, Hannah.
Indeed. Well, we haven't seen an upwind break in quite some time, largely because both teams are executing much more effectively going downwind. Holden with a big poach off, but the mark recovers of Steve. That's going to be a throw to Simon Church. Just a little bit of a hand on it, I think, from the defender. Just to deny, I think that's Staffan Hedström, the other Hedström brother on this West Coast side. A system developer who's given us very few words of information about himself.
That means we get to make him up?
That maybe is the late night stream. Oh, that's an ambitious throw through the middle. It has worked off a couple of times for West Coast, that lateral throw into the deep space, curving across. And Schrenk opens up a beautiful backhand again. He's throwing some dimes when he's got the wind behind him in this late stages of the game. It's a shame that Flash couldn't find these connections a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, Reuven de Church has been working for them. We look at our scoreboard again. Since 5-1, it's been nothing but trading. You got to go back to the start of this game and wonder if they could have just prevented 1, 2 of those breaks at the start, what kind of mindset they would have, the ability to really get back in this would still exist. Now, 1 away with a necessity to punch 5 in, it almost seems like it's game over. What, anything can happen.
Absolutely. It does feel like a foregone conclusion, but it ain't over till it's over, folks. That's one of the things that makes Ultimate so dynamic, the fact that you have to punch in that last score. Heerlin finds Blom on the far sideline. That one scooped up underneath by Natavissa, one of the late additions to this West Coast side. Tommy Blom, though, in that iconic beanie, another Disciples from Gothenburg and Skogstad player in his time. Career high, of course, that silver medal back in the Millennium and the Heilbronn Championship, and playing the World Games in Akita. So pinned on the far sideline, squeezing it through to Komara. Around to Blom. Oh, nearly the poach off, but that's going to expose them in the end zone, and that indeed is game to West Coast. 13-8 the eventual score, but a very different feeling surely for Flash of Great Britain, because that was the highest score tally they put in so far in the tournament, and since 5-1, Steph, it was just trades the whole way. They really found some great offensive flow. They just couldn't punch in the break chances that they had in the second half, of which they only had 2.
We'll keep you up to date with scores around the tournament as they come in and into the prior matches coming up, because we'll let you know who West Coast will move on to play for Ninos. It'll either be Courier Island or Tragic Hips, and we will...
Oh, it's surely it's going to be Tragic Hips. Tragic Hips so narrowly missed out on the championship bracket. Courier Island, one of the other teams who I think it's fair to say, Steph, have had a similar fate to the likes of Flash and West Coast. They haven't gotten too many wins on the board, but haven't got also super duper close to them. Tragic Hips, of course, going to Universe Point, I think our only Universe Point finish of the whole tournament, against Notsu-O, who are saddling themselves up this evening for a game against Hurt.
Yeah, they'll be saddling up. I would expect it to. That game looks like it's over there. And with that said, we will get ourselves ready for our next match. That is Notsu-O taking on the Dutch contingent Blue Light. This one set to be a cracker. This going towards the championship bracket. Winner goes to the semifinals, and the loser will have to play for that other iteration, Finals.
Indeed.
Final goes west. We'd rather stay right here in the southeast and play for the championship.
Yeah, so that will wrap us up for our streamings of the beer bracket on today's live stream. So it is all championship affair for the rest of this fine Friday afternoon. And yeah, I immediately get corrected. It is, of course, Natsuo versus Blue Zone in front of us next. Rundown will be the opponents for Hurt in the second slot here, but we will do our best to keep you informed of all the quarterfinals action as things hot up here on the beach in Sardinia. The breezes are blowing, and who is going to advance into semi-finals? Tune into the next live stream. You know you want to find out. We'll see you then.
Thanks.
Yeah, ultimate.
Ulti.TV.